like I said, I'm here to stay. Make a good lucha thing.
Welcome back to Beyond The Beermat, the absolute greatest wrestling podcast that you've never heard before and probably will never hear again. This is episode 6, and that is why we're dedicating a whole 3 hours to X-Pac's career. A retrospect. Actually, no way. No one wants that much X-Pac. Not even X-Pac's parents.
Maximize!
Literally, the only good thing about him was the fact that his music didn't sound like X-Pac, and it sounded like that. That was really confusing.
He left. That was a good thing.
That was, yes.
Yeah, he left at some point.
The less said about his film career, the better.
Never actually seen it. What would you give him as a rating?
Do not show to children.
Oh, right. I was going to say...
I learned that the hard way.
I was just going to say suck it, but...
Oh, God.
There we go. There we go.
There's 2 words for you, yeah. My name is Stuart Quigley. Alongside me...
The Bill.
And before we get on to today's actual main topic, I just want to point out that we are once again recording in what can only be described as the absolute cavalcade of wrestling memorabilia.
What about my Rock replica action figure? What do you think of The Rock?
That's a podcast for another day, I believe, yeah. There's too much to say. There's too much. You said the X-Pac episode was potentially 3 hours long. That could be even longer. But no, there is actually just too much to take in here, and I don't want to get too distracted, so we're going to get straight into what this episode is about. And now, the first thing, the sort of main branch of topic, we'll get into sort of other things, but they are root and branch linked, is last week the news broke of John Cena and Nikki Bella's engagement. Yeah, I like that. There was
rest in peace.
Yeah, there was a look there that said it all. Their engagement is no longer a thing. And now, the first thing, I don't know about you, but the first thing that I thought when that happened is, I wonder how long they give that before we see it on WWE TV played out. Because their whole relationship has been played out over WWE TV. Do you think, first of all, that we're getting some sort of angle at this at any point? Or do you think John Cena is that guy to just go, no shot, you're not doing it with me?
No, I think he'll ignore it for TV, to be honest. As much as The Miz was right, number one.
That was my second thought, that the Miz will definitely attack this at some point, regardless of whether they do an angle. He's going to mention this at some point.
Yeah, wait till he kicks Daniel Bryan's ass and then... yeah. But, no, he won't bring it. Personal relationship, you don't bring that to business. Oh, actually, it's wrestling, yes.
I was going to say, yeah, it's a very big deal. But that's the sort of the gist of what we're going to be talking about over the course of this podcast, is the fact that WWE, specifically post-Attitude Era, have had a really big thing about, we want to bring the truth into storylines, and generally speaking, there hasn't really been that successful over the last, 20 years, because the whole thing about it is that as we've grown up, wrestling has had a stigma of it's not real, and then
real to me, damn it.
If you go back to the territory days and that, it's shoot real and it's shoot stories.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. That's what it felt like. That's what it was if you were in the crowd.
Rode together and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think there are reasons for why that looked and felt more legit at the time, which we'll get into. But for me, the big point here is the fact that when you've got the line being blurred between heel and face, you're trying to attach something a bit more real to it, which is just the whole idea of if there's something going on backstage, we can bring it into the ring, we can make some money out of it. That's the theory. It doesn't work out like that, though.
No. I think there's that much on social media. I was literally just showing you this Sheamus workout videos where he stands, heel, face, whoever, and they all come across as nice guys. Alexa Bliss comes across as, ooh, look at me, I'm the nice guy, a nice girl even. And then gets to the ring and calls someone fat for 3 hours.
But that's one of the weird things that made her WrestleMania match a bit hard to sort of understand, is the fact that she's having this storyline with Nia Jax in terms of what they've said, and there's an interview of them being very good friends and saying very different things. That's part one. The media landscape is completely different now. You can't have Terry Funk or someone walking through an airport and people afraid to talk to him because they think they might legit be hurt.
That would be amazing in the airport, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If Zack Ryder just starts
Charlie the airport.
It's not exactly the same. It's just not. And the second thing is that because of the idea that, you said yourself, it's gone completely the reverse. The idea of if an old school wrestler, first of all, they didn't, from what I've read and from what I've heard, they didn't like to hang out heel and face.
No, they rode separately, didn't they? Heels and faces.
Exactly. Very, very sort of straight down the middle. But on the off chance that a heel would be hanging around with a face in a bar or in a hotel room or something. It wasn't like there were a million cameras shoved in the face to copy it and show it to the world.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's gone completely the other way, where WWE are actively doing it themselves, or Sheamus is doing it himself by actually doing it on his YouTube channel. You've seen it with like, up, up, down, down. The line is human being first, wrestler second.
Yeah.
So how do you then, having told me that that's the line, go, oh no, that line doesn't exist anymore? Yeah. And that's where we come to the whole work shoot.
Yeah. I think they like to pretend that Raw and SmackDown are
competing entities.
Yeah, competing entities. And then you watch them all on the internet, on Twitter and Facebook, if they're not too old to use that now. But all these shows are total divas and whatnot. Even that's fake, isn't it?
Yes.
They're pretending to hate each other backstage and bitch about each other. They're all friends off camera and on Twitter and it's that and the other. It's just, it doesn't...
It's wrestling by another name.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. It's not like it used to be.
Here's a quick question, actually. Something that's just... Because everything in wrestling is cyclical. Everything in sports and life probably is cyclical in that regard. Do you think that with a specific example here, and I'm probably going to botch his name, but that Ciampa from NXT, with his whole, I'm not going to talk to anyone, I'm going to be a proper heel almost 24 hours a day. Do you think there's something that's going back that way, or is he just a one-off?
No, it's a one-off. I can't name another wrestler for the best, 5 years?
I think it's just the idea that there is one, and it's the idea...
I think it's great for the business. Did you hear the reaction they got a takeover?
I've read about it, I've not actually got around to see it.
Solid booze.
Yeah.
NXT are one of the smarkiest crowds, especially New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend. And he got booed. That takes some doing if you're getting booed at that crowd.
Well, this is a conversation we've had before, which is that like heels don't actually try to get boos as much.
No.
Almost.
We were talking about a couple of days ago. Was it Jericho?
Yes.
Jericho made people hate him.
Yes.
Mark Henry. When he won the title, everyone cheered him, and he stood up, got the microphone. How dare you cheer me? Even boo me for God knows how.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right thing to do. A heel's a heel.
Yes.
Should act like it. They shouldn't come up with catchphrases and say, "Oh look, buy my T-shirt."
There's nothing in there, and I think I heard Edge on a podcast recently. It wasn't our podcast. We've not quite got that level of guests just yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. He was talking about the whole idea of like when he was in Money in the Bank match, he was told after someone came up to him and said, "Oh, you didn't do any like moves or anything," and he went, "Yeah, no, I'm not supposed to. I was supposed to just be the chicken shit heel that when I win, you hate the fact that I've won because I've done nothing."
Exactly.
In the ring, it's a huge, I don't know what the word, it's a huge sort of balancing act to get right. But I think what sets people off on the wrong way, and I get the idea that if you're WWE, you see this sort of storyline, especially the way it plays out on the internet now, because it's gone so many different ways. I'm confused by how it goes because originally the whole thing's a work. Then what happens is some things are works and some things aren't, supposedly. And this is where you get into a sort of grey area with like the Attitude Era, and when I said this is when it all started to sort of veer off a cliff, because Vince Russo is the number one guy for this, telling people what's real and telling people what's not. And this, I don't mean to get all Jim Cornette here, but this is why nothing feels as real as it did.
Yeah.
Because if you tell everyone everything you see isn't real, apart from this is the real bit.
Is that when Goldberg went off script, was it?
Oh, it's loads of times. The best, one of our favourite pay-per-views of all time, Bash at the Beach.
2000?
Yes.
Oh, great. How about that Vampiro?
He was doing Broken Matt Hardy in the old... All you needed was Vanguard 1 and that would have been perfect. Like, watching it back now, you only see how bad the similarities are.
Could have been Vampire 1. Hey.
Jeez. I think this is all summed up by one line. One line by one commentator, and I'm probably going to get it not word for word, but the thing that like I always think of when I think like the work shoot and this and that is that promo from Bash at the Beach when Vince Russo is trying to like set up the whole thing. And one of the commentators, I can't remember which one, I think it's Mike tonight, says words to the effect of...
Guy with the goatee?
No, that's Mark Madden. I know Mark Madden is.
I thought it was Mark Madden, actually.
Mark Madden once spoke to me on Twitter, so I'm fine with him. And he's also a Liverpool fan, so I'm doubly fine with him.
He is my hero.
Basically, yeah. The words to the effect of that this isn't Vince Russo, the writer or the performer, this is Vince Russo, the man. And, like, I will admit, when I was younger... And we sort of were watching wrestling, but not necessarily WCW at the time when this was going down. You remember this being a big deal, and I remember thinking it was legit. You watch it back now, obviously, it looks well dodged, and you've seen all the stories, you've heard all the stories. You can't pull something like that now. CM Punk's pipe bomb, how long does that take? ironically enough, you're wearing that shirt now. How long does that take from you watch it on Raw, going, was that really a shoot, to no, the whole thing's still going on? Maybe a week.
Probably 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, and that's how
I read 411's Raw review and realised it wasn't real.
That's the thing. Like, we're so conditioned, and maybe it's just us and the whole idea that like we've grown up with this, and you think the idea of this is real, this isn't real, and pointing things out like that. And I know we mentioned Vince Russo, but the ultimate, it all comes back to one event, which is the Montreal Screwjob, which is the point of, okay, that was real.
Yeah.
And even that now you still look back at, and people are putting doubts on all that. That was real.
That was real, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've seen Wrestling with Shadows, haven't you?
I haven't actually seen it, to be honest,
which is brilliant. Actually, you should watch it. It's really, really good.
From that moment on, that kicks off the Attitude Era, which in turn, Bret Hart going...
partly created the Vince McMahon character.
Yes.
And that was the biggest era of wrestling, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh no, there's no doubt about that. And we were talking earlier about like the dynamics between like heels that want to be booed. Vince McMahon is top of that, like pretty much.
Vince McMahon can turn from heel to face in 2 seconds now.
Yes. And again, we spoke off air about this, and something that we can easily just bring into this now, which is the fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't work as well if you don't have Vince McMahon opposite him as the guy he's feuding with.
I agree with that. Someone else would have stepped in. They tried to play it with The Rock, didn't they? But it didn't. I don't think it worked as well.
No.
When it was corporate Rock, and then so he was going to sell out the corporation. It didn't feel right. Whereas Austin was...
Because you believed, on camera, off camera, Vince McMahon did not want Steve Austin to be champion.
Agree.
And admittedly, we've given reasons as to why this doesn't necessarily work anymore, so it's not all on the actual talent, right? But the fact of the matter is that...
I don't know, they did it with Roman Reigns, and that is to do with the talent, so...
yeah, fair enough. But the amount of times that it's been sort of shoehorned in since, and it's sort of diluted every time it does it. When we start with the Montreal Screwjob, you filter it down through Bash at the Beach 2000.
Amazing.
And then, oh god, yeah. And then we get all the way down to like CM Punk's pipe bomb, and then there's a couple of other things in there which we'll touch upon. But all the way down that, what you get is Montreal is the number one that remains. CM Punk, yes, it remains a legendary promo, but nothing more. It's just another segment.
Fair point. When was Montreal? November? Was it October or November '97?
I think October.
The NWO felt pretty real before. I'd say the NWO when Hall and Nash
just turned up
and sat in the crowd with their tickets and popcorn.
Compare that to what happened at WrestleMania.
Let's face it, right? If John Cena wasn't drunk, he'd probably give the Undertaker a fight. It's that one beer that did it.
Yes, the Kit come back too, and he's nursing it in a way that we never could. Yeah. They say that John Cena needs to put everything. He put over that beer like I've never seen anything. Like, it took him so long to finish it. That's the longest match he's ever had.
What you don't know is that was a different pint every time the camera cut back.
Man, they're using multiple finishes like Twin Magic, but with beers. Oh, actually, don't want to talk about Twin Magic in association with John Cena just now.
Oh, not yet.
No, we'll get on to that. But we've said about how it's been sort of diluted and worn down, the idea of all this. So let's actually talk about some of the stuff that has happened. And we don't necessarily be all, that was worth it. That's giving you extra buy rates. And the funny thing about this is I want to name check one that we haven't really spoke about just yet. And it was pointless. It was worthless. And it's not quite number one, because number one of all time is Randy Orton saying that Eddie Guerrero is in hell just for a few extra boos.
Well, it got him over, didn't it?
I don't think, if that's the only reason Randy Orton's over, then my word, he's even more of an awful person than I thought.
Yeah, good point.
But
are we talking about Booker T and Triple H's storyline era?
That's interesting, actually, because I actually think, like, if they'd booked one thing very differently, and by that I mean don't have the racist win the feud, then that would have been a very good example of bringing in actual sort of real-life things. Although the only problem with that is you have to pretend that Triple H is an actual real-life racist.
Yeah, good point.
I don't think they want to sell that idea too hard.
Probably not.
The idea that they sold it, he's an on-camera racist, is bad enough. I don't even want to think about that. That sends my head spinning. No, the other one I was talking about it's a very similar one to the Randy Orton one. It's when Paige, as a face, calls out Charlotte's brother dying for no reason.
Was she the face in that feud?
Initially, yeah, they turned like about a week after this.
Oh, right, okay.
At the point she cut the promo, she was the face.
Yeah, sometimes you can go too far, isn't there? And that was one.
But that's the point. What they always do is they do it to just go, oh, look at us, we're adding a little bit of edge, we're doing something extra. It's like, you don't need to do it.
I'm not being funny, but 90% of people watching that show probably don't know. Was it Reed? It died?
Yeah.
Probably don't know who Reed Flair is.
I think that number's significantly lower because it's sort of, it sounds really bad, but it's playing to the smarks in the worst possible way.
Yeah, but they're the worst sort of fans. Like, not me and you.
Yeah, no, we're not separating ourselves from these. We are the worst. There's no problem there. I think as well is it's like if you want to add a little bit of spice to a feud, like the idea of make it a real blood feud or whatever, right? Even that doesn't work because if you call out someone like from a personal level on that, that's fine. Maybe someone will want to fight you more, but no one's sitting at home going, "Oh man, she called out a dead brother. I'm definitely buying that pay-per-view now."
Okay, here's an example now. What gets you more over? Paige saying exactly what you just said. Or if Flair fought The Undertaker at WrestleMania 17, right, and he wouldn't accept the match. And The Undertaker, I don't know where he went. Was it David Flair he absolutely battered in the shower and made him bleed and all that? Did you hate The Undertaker for that? Or did the general fan hate him for that? So that's got more over than saying, oh, your brother's dead.
But that's the thing though, is that's an angle. That's not actually like footage of them going to his house. Yeah. It's just it's trying to use something in real life, which is fine. You can use things in real life that happen to affect something. I've got a perfect example. We've talked about the pipe bomb quite a few times, right? And I'm going to show my smarky colours as even more so if I haven't already. When CM Punk was in Ring of Honor, the feud that he had with Raven, well old school this, was really, really good and really sort of went all in on the whole idea of like the alcoholic father and all this, and it was so well done, and it really got CM Punk one of the first feuds that really got him noticed and got him over in his promo skills and the matches and everything. When they tried to repeat it with Jericho, something about it was off.
Yeah, should have let him tattoo him live on Raw. That would have been you know about that, do you?
I vaguely remember remind me again what this story is.
You know, he's picking on his family and
I remember
so he smashed him with the definite real Jack Daniels over the head. And I think Jericho on one of his podcasts said to make the feud really over the top. I can't remember what he wanted to tattoo on him, but you know he's got the Pepsi thing on his arm. Jericho wanted to tattoo CM Punk live on Raw, a Vince McMahon of all people, who wanted to sleep with his own daughter and stuff like that.
In storyline.
Storyline, no.
Yeah.
Just for legal purposes, by the way.
That's only reserved for presidents in reality. I didn't say which one, so haha.
Talking about Clinton.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
That Clinton guy from Zimbabwe, no.
He wanted to tattoo him, and Vince told him no, but that would have quite literally left a mark.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I'd like to point out as well, you just insinuated this. If Vince McMahon thinks your storyline idea is a bit too far, then fuck me, is it too far?
Yeah, jeez. What's wrong with that, man? I love you, Vince. Don't hate me, buy our podcast.
Yes, please give us sponsorship. We love you. What I'm saying is you can add aspects of reality into wrestling. I've said it, I think, on every podcast that we've done so far pretty much, that Daniel Bryan doesn't get over without the element of reality, which is he's not the god.
He was never the guy, was he? He wasn't meant to be.
No.
The people put him in that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Without meaning to sort of overrate the keg, that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And trying to force reality down people's... People reject it. People reject anything these days. Like the John Cena is where he is reaction-wise, not because of his ability or because of his personality. It's because of the perception that he's forced down.
Yeah.
So if you say to, especially wrestling fans, if you say, accept this, they won't. So if you're saying accept this because it happened in real life, that doesn't necessarily mean that like it works for the feud. I understand why they do it, but it, generally speaking, doesn't work out too well.
Yeah, it's happening with Roman. What you said about Cena is happening with Roman Reigns now, isn't it? They're trying to shove him down everyone's throat. And I'll be honest, I'll give Roman his dues. I think the guy can wrestle, and I think he puts on good matches. I don't think he's improved on the mic. And genuinely, all I've got to do is turn him heel. He'd get over and he'd be a face in 2 years. And also, if that.
And also as well, if they turn him heel, what would his promos be based in? Actual reality, like the truth, like of I busted my ass for 4 years and all you ever did was boomer.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't need to get over by doing something stupid, and he definitely doesn't need to get over by calling out the dead, unless he's fighting the Undertaker next year at WrestleMania. To be honest, the Undertaker could want a rematch.
That's what you do annually now. Just call him out and then.
If Roman Reigns is sat in the crowd with that beer next year, then we never know what might happen.
I'll tell you what, we'll go to New York next year. If he's sat in the crowd, we'll go and offer him a beer and we'll just sit with him and, how you doing, Roman? Suffering, suck it down.
Jeez. Talk about promos, jeez. There are a couple of angles that we haven't touched on just yet, but one of the ones that I do want to touch on, just because we're trying to get a broad overview of all of this, is the one that should have worked and kind of did, but worked for not the person you thought it would have worked for, which is Matt Hardy and Edge.
Yeah.
Edge was a very different character after all this went down. And it sort of started the whole Rated R thing, sort of started the thing that eventually catapulted him to the main event. He was ready well before all this. But this is the thing that, and I really don't want to make this pun, but I absolutely have to, this is the thing that gave him his edge.
Didn't.
Yeah, why not? If you've got a bell, you've got to use it.
Got to use the ring bell.
Yeah. But the thing about that I find, remembering what was going on at the time and the buzz around, like, we went to a house show back in the day and we were chanting for Matt Hardy.
It's a Raw house show. In fact, I took a V1 sign even though he wasn't there.
Yeah.
In fact, that's here right now.
The idea that you take signs to house shows in the first place is ludicrous, but we still do it. I would do it tomorrow if I had the chance.
We were about 12, weren't we, or something?
Yeah, why not? It's so fun. But the thing with that I find fascinating, and you could bring it round to today, is that angle sort of failed and/or was dropped because Matt Hardy couldn't cut one promo.
That's ironic considering what he's doing now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Amazing how things work out for you.
Yeah.
I know we joked about the Triple H and Booker T thing and about like how that could have played out and how that could have worked in terms of, well...
Should,
yeah.
Should.
There's no real use of that word, that's fair.
Yeah.
But when you think about the idea of like, if you're going to have a angle which is almost solidly based on a real life thing going on between these three people, then realistically speaking, you wouldn't want the guy who got fucked over in the first place to be the loser. But that's not how wrestling works. Wrestling works as who's got the money, and Edge had it. Yeah.
Later, you're talking about it.
At the time, yes, she was his valet. I believe that's what you mean. Yes.
Oh, you mean it? He's got it. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Just going back to that, right? What kind of company fires the person that gets angry because another wrestler's slept with his girlfriend?
I'm so cynical that I'm not even considering this as like a possible bad thing for WWE, because it's just like, I don't want to lean too heavily onto the whole like the Shawn Michaels stuff with Sonny and Bret Hart and all that. Like,
did not happen for legal purposes with Bret Hart.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying that like, there's one thing if it's Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart involved. It would have been a very different thing altogether if it had been Shawn Michaels and I don't know, Doink the Clown. Would have been a very different thing, both visually and played out in the company.
I'm just a sexy clown, sexy clown. That would have been good.
I will get you down to the mat. I don't know. I could have done better there, but you know, give me time. I've only had one beer.
2 out of 10.
Yeah.
They've always gone with who had the star power, haven't they? Edge had the star power.
That's the thing. Like, whoever makes the money for the company is where you go.
They don't care about personal lives.
No, they don't. Which is funny because what happens quite a lot is if you. The Charlotte and Paige thing, was that not checked with Ric Flair beforehand?
They checked with Flair beforehand, and they said it was alright.
And I seem to recall when...
He's a businessman though, isn't
he? Yeah, oh yeah. And I seem to recall that when Jerry Lawler came back from his heart surgery, I can't remember who said it for the life of me, but the idea that someone called him out on... I want to say The Miz, but I could be wrong. Someone said something about his heart surgery and that was cleared. I think he suggested it even, maybe.
Okay. If you're in the business, alright, they know what the deal is. If I had a leg amputated and I was in the business, I would want someone to take the mick out of that.
Yeah.
To get heat, and then I'd be the hero at the end of it. Sort of
thing. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think that point is valid in the sense of you can, if something happens personally, use that in a promo maybe to get yourself over on a one-off, or at least just pop the crowd maybe. When I say pop the crowd, just like get them to boo you. Depending on who you are actually. Maybe if you're a real bastard and you get your leg amputated, someone poking fun of that might cause lots of laughter. I don't know.
Is this when Brock Lesnar threw Zach Gowen down some stairs?
Yeah.
I thought it was
When you say that out loud, it sounds pretty bad. Yeah. But that's the thing though, it works in a one-off, not Brock Lesnar throwing Zach Gowen down the stairs, just generally. In a long-term sense, you can't help. You're just thinking about the stairs, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Jeez.
I laugh so much, really.
The more you think about it, the
More ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole situation.
I know Brock don't like people, but he really hates one-legged people.
It's a good thing he doesn't meet them on a daily basis, otherwise... Imagine if Brock Lesnar was like in the UFC and he took someone's leg off and then he really gets mad. If he takes your leg off, that's when he gets furious.
Oh dear.
But yeah, sort of got lightheaded there, a bit like Zach Gowen going down the stairs.
Oi, oi.
Yeah. But yeah, it can work for a one-off, but no one's getting over long term because of anything like this. Not now, I mean, both because we're so sceptical to it, as we spoke about, and secondly, and I don't know if you can do this in today's day and age, but we were mentioning before when we were coming up with, we were talking about this podcast, like things we would talk about. And one of the wrestlers that was brought up was the Brian Pillman and on all that. And is anyone really going to go to that degree these days to convince everyone that, like, yes, you might think that I'm like acting, but no, I'm legit that mad?
No. Then, no, that shouldn't have happened, really, should it?
I mean, it's talking about you're pushing the boundaries. I'm not
I know
suggesting.
it's America, but
I'm really not suggesting that, like, I don't know, Jack Swagger should come out next week with a semi-automatic, but like...
I would accept it if the Eagle came out and did the same thing.
That is a true American icon, and I'm not talking about the Eagle. I'm talking about the gun in his hand.
Yeah, America.
But yeah, no, like, it can't happen now to that degree, but could someone do anything? I think the other example, and we spoke about him before actually, is Jericho, and even Jericho... It sort of wears a little thin now. The whole stuff with Kenny Omega was played out to be a feud.
I was just going to say that was one of the best feuds in a long time.
Yes, but again, maybe I'm being cynical, but the whole thing, like, from start to finish, felt like a work because Jericho's done it so often.
It felt
well
more real
done.
than anything WWE put out.
Yes.
WWE, look, it sounds like, it is a TV show for kids now, isn't it? Putting power and kabam and all that on the screen.
WCW Worldwide is missing the trick.
No, it was a great Friday night.
I loved it, yeah, why not? But I agree with you in the sense that it did... And do you know what, actually, to that degree, whether I think it was more of a work or not, from my own personal perspective, at the end of the day, what you said is true. It looked more of a shoot than anything we've seen for a while. That in itself drew money.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the argument that we're saying here.
When you say drew money, did it draw money from the Western market? Because I watched it on YouTube the next day. I didn't pay for the pay-per-view.
In terms of, like, is it going to be like going down in like the biggest buy rates of all time? No, it probably won't even crack the top 20. But a lot more people are looking at New Japan. So even just in the sense of drawing eyes on the product, that will, in turn, I don't know the numbers, but there's no doubt that people now know about New Japan that didn't before.
People know about New Japan. People know about New Japan because of the Bullet Club. If you took the dead serious, if you took the Bullet Club out of New Japan, would anyone watch New Japan? I don't think they would. I can name 2 wrestlers out of New Japan.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying. But what you've got is
I can name 2 Japanese wrestlers from New Japan.
Yeah, the whole point of this though is that what it is, you've got the Bullet Club as one aspect of how they draw their fans and draw their money.
And, everyone listening to this is going, "Ooh, you've never been to fucking Japan."
If a guy that works for WWE, and I love Peter Rosenberg, I don't care what anybody says, does not know that War Machine are a tag team, then we're allowed to get this wrong.
Okay, good point. All right.
But I'm just saying that, like, if the Bullet Club are one aspect of how New Japan draws fans in, whether it be money, like ticket sales, or what people watching it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Jericho and Omega was very much a viable way. In 2018, given everything we spoke about, that's actually very impressive.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging off the product. I don't know the wrestlers, but I've seen the matches. I think the matches are good. The initial bit where Jericho pops up on the Titantron, whatever they call it, that felt like a work. When the lights come back on, I thought it was brilliant. The WWE do that every now and again. And then when they started doing the press conferences, and did Jericho attack Omega initially?
I think so.
He attacked him. It seemed like a work, and I don't know if those press people are real or not. But I don't know any different, so they're real to me.
It's certainly very different to when Hulk Hogan was in Japan, and then Jeff Jarrett just attacked him with a guitar randomly. No one's looking at that going, I bet that's a shoot.
That was real, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the guitar shot. Whenever I'm really upset with someone, I'll bring a combustible guitar with me just to emphasise the point.
But if you ain't doing that, you ain't trying.
No, there'll be a podcast one day where where you just go, what's that combustible guitar doing in the corner? I'll be like the list of Owens, and then I'll hit you over the head, and that'll be the end of it. I think at the end of the day, we've sort of gone over this very comprehensively, and also as well tried not to kill ourselves laughing at Zach Gowan and combustible guitars. I'm not saying put them together. I am not saying put them together.
You want to F5 him down the stairs on top of the guitar or something?
Well, no, surely you guitar shot him and then throw him down the stairs. That makes more logistical sense.
You could F5 him, place him on the guitar, and then slide the guitar down the stairs. Are we just coming up with ways to kill Zach Gowan?
In theory, yeah, no, because I want to do one more. Could you do a sort of Shawn Michaels super kicking Shelton Benjamin in the sense of Brock Lesnar F5s him down the stairs, and then like Paul Heyman's waiting there with the guitar to hit him with the guitar as he lands?
I think that's the final cut.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think what we've basically done is not only have we finished this podcast off, we've finished Zach Gowan off forever. Thank you for listening. This has been Beyond the Beermat. Goodbye for now.